He says that's a pass one, so we all. So it was. Yeah. And she gets it there in the 2010s when we get 90 people. It's 338. That's recent. This was the floor. The floor of the cost.
We are one, it's 4 minutes, it's a big.
That would be before the cost of living. Which is. Ready? Linda, we're ready, right? Okay. All right. Special call meeting of the utility board on January 22nd of 2026. Call the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. First order of business is approval of the minutes of the December 18th, 25th regular meeting. I believe you have a copy there in front of you. If you have not already reviewed it. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
All right. Michael Ford make the motion to approve. Bill Cunnington second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. The January 15th, 26th regular meeting was canceled, and this is a special call meeting. Because of that, we are pretty much committed to the agenda as far as any discussion or anything. So we'll just bring that to your attention. Review of the financial statements. Looking at those. Water and budget tracking continues to be on target. You deduct out the grant revenue from the revenue, it comes out to be about $1,021,000 against a budgeted $969,000. So we're slightly ahead of what we budgeted as far as normal revenue for water. Looking down the expenses, I did not note anything that was out of order particularly. The total expenditures, as you can see, is 858 against a budget of 922. So water is holding financially strong. So sewer tracking, looking at it the same way. There's some grant funds in that of 340,000. Take that out. It gives us normal revenues of 429,000 against the budgeted 412,000. So the revenue in sewer is also holding according to budget. Expenditures, looking through there, there's nothing, again, it's jumps out as being a extraordinary expense. We're at 521,000 expenses against the budgeted number of 572,650. So we're holding to our budget numbers and projections for both water and sewer. On the December trial balance report, you will note one item that is not the best right now is that our cash balance is down to 1,001,285 compared to 1,565 a year ago at the end of 24. Talking to Glenda prior to this, we've had several expenditures that we needed to make and some budget overruns in our the lagoon system and finishing up the influent lift station that pretty much took a big hit on our cash flow. But those items have been paid for and are in order right now, so we're in pretty good shape in spite of that. We had always kind of kept in mind that we wanted to hold about $1 million in cash, and so we're down to that level now from where we had been a little bit in the past.
Are we finished with that? Is it
Yes,
operational?
that's project status update. Lagoon liners is all in, completed and finished.
Yeah,
And,
we still like putting them in operation. We got to put the air rate.
Yeah. What is the lift station? We done with that?
and the fluent lift station is up and running and
So we're closing out on that. Okay.
yeah,
In the legal, the legal, I talked to council this week, actually. Want to close that out. Oh, really? Good. Yeah. So my exact thing was any uncontested amounts we would like to have immediately, and as far as contesting, let's get that rolling.
okay. So since we're kind of on projects, did we get Chad moving on the finalizing the clean water stuff over on Long Valley Road?
He's kind of, I kind of told him which way to go for right now, but he's wanting to know for sure which way we want with the water, which one, which roads and stuff. And he's
Is he putting something together for
already
review?
kind of doing something at the moment, but it ain't in stone yet because we haven't told him.
Okay,
So just need to tell him to give him a go and he'll be ready to go.
okay, so Chad's working on that
Ready to
then.
go means that the scope for the next project will be
He's already.
specific.
He just wants to know which way we want to go. Okay.
So that we can stay within the budget limits of $200,000. Okay,
Which means which addresses? What are you saying, which way you want to go with it?
Well, right now,
Yeah, the
I-
address line.
He's thinking, he's kind of investigating the Little Rock in Atlanta route.
Okay.
That's what he's looking at right now, unless we cut it different.
Actually, you know what we recommended?
I
Okay.
thought that's what
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
so I kind of gave him that.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
okay.
go ahead.
So he's looking at ironing out the detailed scope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many feet?
It just wasn't gonna be able to reach the end of the road because there's simply more pipe to put in than there are dollars to put it in. So we just gotta figure out where the end of that.
Yeah.
Where the money and the pipe are both gonna end,
Mhm.
somewhere on that Little Rock,
Mhm.
Atlanta. How many houses we can catch there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's what we'd recommended.
Yeah.
think
With
we
the
could get-
footage, I think if we go Little Rock, Atlanta, we can get more with less. You know what
Yeah, I
I'm
think
saying?
so too.
yeah, so, okay,
He knows right now, he's just waiting for us to like confirm.
Okay.
He'll have some.
all right. Other active products, I know he was also, waiting on us to, determine whether or not, me, you and Gene want to have a meeting with Kentucky Dam Village on the sewer. So we need to give him a okay to get that meeting set up or whatever, if that's what we want to do. And I think we do, don't we? I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
So you want to let him know, Bobby,
Yeah,
On
we'll
that.
get something together for it.
get a meeting set up and some times and when we can meet. Okay. Okay, have we got anything else out there, Bobby, that's kind of, or we got most of the projects sort on?
Hopefully everything is, yeah, pretty much tied up. Main thing we're doing right now is we're tweaking some of the water treatment plant stuff that doesn't happen with the filters and stuff.
Okay.
But it's big time. Well, the liners are in, but like I told you a while ago, they're not in operation yet because still got to put the aerators, everything else in and hook them up. We've got the cables full, we just got to place them and hook them up. Then we can start going.
Okay. Gene, I'm not sure what the protocol is. We exceeded budget on that liner replacement.
Mhm.
Who needs to approve the overrun on the budget, or how does that need to handle? We had,
It's already been taken care of.
that's our,
Yeah, we signed, Chad prepared that overrun and approval for that and everything was done that way. And the overrun was due to them having to mobilize extra. And we had documents on that. So Chad's got that taken care of.
okay. All right, so we're good there then?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I mean, we're not good that we had an overrun. but
No,
we
I-
filed the paperwork, the
That's
documents,
all been
and
paid.
get the approvals and get paid.
Okay, all right. That's what I was wondering, if there was anything we needed to do there then. Okay. All right, I think the next on the agenda is the rate study. Update and discussion on that. After we had some questions on a couple of items, the went back to Mr. Miller and asked him about those. He had some misunderstanding in when he put the studies together, particularly we'll start with the water. The water study, there was a loan that was actually a sewer loan that he had included in his water analysis, and so he removed that out. And I have an email from him that states that about moving that out of the calculations, that loan that should have been in sewer that was in water, taking that out of there. The recommended water rate increase was reduced to 0%. And then we also, of course, had the cost of living adjustment calculation, which was due at that particular time. And that was a 4.09% increase. So the water rates have been increased based on the January 26 rates of 4.09%, which says that we are, based on his study, the water is taking care of itself, paying its expenses and covering everything. So
I did give you a little example sheet like I always do on the rate increase. So you kind of see how much 2,000 gallon or less bill and 3,500. I'm not sure how much. I was saying last year was 4.63 and the year before was 5.01. I don't remember past that.
4.63 last year.
The year before.
Yeah, well,
And then this
inflation
year's-
was even worse than one.
And one of the questions that we had relative to the water study was, what is the cost per gallon of water to produce? And, Mr. Miller sent me that number. He said it was already in our numbers, but he broke it out for me, and it's $3.94 per 1,000 gallons.
Okay.
And that way we can look at the decline in price versus what our cost to produce is. And we've not done that yet, that comparison, but we can pull that together on the water study. Unless there's additional questions or discussion on the water rate study, I think we pretty well covered all of that, and it's in pretty good shape at this point. So whether or not we want to recommend further increases or whatnot, would not necessarily think we would, but
I think the question is where we come down on sewer rates, because water is really the only opportunity we have for income revenue, because we serve a lot more water than we do sewer. And so if we don't adjust water rates, then your income basis that offset for the sewer, where you gonna get it? We have industry using 75% of our water. And so it may come out that way here, but I think that we put the sewer burden back on the residents of Calvert City. So if this is our largest producer of income and we have to raise the sewer rate, then we raise that on people who are not producing the product that you're selling for a profit. So I'd just like us to consider that. We're not closing the book. We just might need to come back and look at that.
okay, so I understand exactly what you're saying. Steve, can you repeat, kind of not necessarily go through that whole thing, but sort of summarize what?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something to look at if you separate out. So, well, the raw water's fine. We're gonna leave water where it's at. But our sewer's gonna have to come up 10%. That sewer rate's gonna fall on the residents of Calvert much more than the water rate falls on. And unless there's a statute or a law that forbids us to look at that as a total company, if we can increase the revenue with the water, where it can either be, you can take the depreciation amount, put it all on the water side or something that then makes the water more stable and has a broader audience to bear the cost.
I'm trying to think of the best way to talk about that in terms of the numbers that we do have in front of us.
Mhm.
We've got operating revenue in the water system of about $2 million. And we've got operating revenue in sewer bills of 872. So you got on most residential bills, the sewer bills is higher.
Mhm.
And so your point is that we have more room and more volume to a little bit of percentages,
Right.
swing it around in a bigger handle instead of putting the business in
Right.
half. And yeah, I mean, if we run, financials here as enterprise-based financials, the whole enterprise includes the water, and
Right.
don't forget about it.
Right.
So instead of trying to make them balance in each individual bucket, take a look at the overall utility.
Right.
Okay.
And I think I kind of brought that up at the end of the meeting last time, to
Mhm.
if there is a way that we could not keep them completely separate.
Right.
Yeah, I think we could get a lot bigger bang for the increase if we put a little bit of it on water and capture, because of, you know, the industrial users and those. I think we could generate more revenue with a potentially smaller impact on residents by putting some of it on the water if it's,
Yeah,
like,
if you can.
like Steve said, if it's legal and doesn't cross any boundaries by making the two entities able to share the, I have we can't really go into all the things because of the agenda, but yeah, I mean, I think companies do that all the time if they're considered a whole company. One unit is sometimes not as profitable, but
They'll carry it because they have,
yeah, it is making this unit over here more profitable to keep this unit online. So anyway, I think it's worth looking into further.
the formula for calculating the sewer, if we raised rates in the water a certain percentage and want to do a different one, the revenue. We could, for the sewer, excuse me, we could do that.
We could do it.
It's all legal.
I think so.
You don't have to put them both the same number.
Hmm.
Is one question I'd have, that would allow us to do what you're talking about.
Well, I know the one time that we added the flat rate, we increased the gust water
Yeah.
when we took that water meter on, so I know that we have done that in the past. We didn't increase sewer on that, it was just water.
We talked about this a lot, but I'm gonna say it one more time. The formula for figuring up sewer, is it dependent on the water flow that people use?
It's rate per gallon of water used. Yes.
Well, yes and no. Your bill
Yes.
is based on your water meter usage, your sewer bill.
Okay.
Now, in the ordinance that we have automatic CPI increases.
Yeah.
Treats them separate. They're not ratioed.
Okay. Yeah, you'd have to go into more detail to that. You don't have to today, but I want to hear more about that.
Well, we can go into more detail today. So in the ordinance that the city passed, we have automatic rate increases.
Yes.
And there's a rate,
409.
there's a rate for water and a rate for sewer.
Okay.
So we will adjust those based on the CPI. They're independent of each other.
Okay.
So when you get done adjusting the rates,
Yeah.
the ratio for sewer to water currently versus the ratio for sewer to water after that adjustment will change.
Yeah. I don't see how that could be, but I believe you, but I don't understand how.
Okay. We can go through some mathematics and
Yeah.
look at it.
Love to.
So we may need to go to sewer. I just didn't want to say we're closing the door on water. So what I was trying to say is maybe when we do the sewer, then we come back to the water. So
We definitely get the impression from this study that our sewer is going to cost us a lot of money and we've got
let's
to be
get
on
a
top
smaller
of it.
audience. We
And
don't
it's
run
a
sewer
long
out,
term.
but we don't run sewer outside the city limits. We do run water outside
Yeah.
the city limits.
Yep.
And so your ability to minimize that cost based on the number you serve is restricted inside the city limits.
Yes.
Although we may decide we want to do something different there. At some point, the city may decide different. But right now, you can't say our water's good because that's your revenue horse. That's what you're generating. And if you limit that, then you put all the burden on a smaller number of users.
I understand the point.
I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. We've just maintained sewer taking care of itself, water taking care of itself. And not combining the two together
For reporting.
for reporting and everything. And so,
I think that's the struggle of the.
so we,
You say they've taken
in
care
the
of
same way as
themselves.
in those companies you're talking about, they still run a separate cost on that department or that company or whatever that's not generating much revenue, so they know what it's doing.
Yeah, right. It's still on the books as their own independent unit. Yes.
Right.
You say they take care of themselves, but has it? Have we ever had enough revenue in sewer to cover our expenses in the last 15 years I've been on the board?
Well, it's,
I mean, you can look at the numbers you just shared with us.
then
And
it's,
we budgeted saying we have less revenue for sewer than we actually expend. So we're already doing what he's saying in terms of actuality, aren't we? We're not really covering it. Is the water covering it? Cause it does have excess revenue given to the.
well, the
community.
expenditure, the revenue and the expenses here, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but they're not paying for the debt,
Capital improvement.
capital
See, we haven't
improvements.
started paying on that lift station. We just paid the interest on this statement.
And that doesn't
So
show
as
up
soon
on the
as
financial statement.
that's done, then you're gonna have to
It
reduce.
shows up on a cash flow statement, not on a financial
Okay.
statement.
So keep going. What do you?
So once you get reducing the capital, then the stress on that's gonna go up, because now we're not just paying the interest on the loan. Now we've got to pay the principal and the interest,
Right.
even though
gonna
it's.
show up where?
It'll show up in sewer.
In sewer. So,
It's gonna show up there, but like I said, the cash off, all the same together.
Cash goes in the same
that's
bank.
what I wanted to know in the end. So
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to your point there, that they work together in the end
Right,
to take care of this place.
right.
You know,
And
year
like-
to, year to date, what we're budgeting here for revenues and sewers, 412. What we budgeted to spend is 572. And, you know, and in reality, throw out the grant revenue.
And
We
add-
brought in 429, and the expenses up to this point have been actually 521. I mean, those numbers, that kind of ratio there has been true as long as I can remember that I've been on this board. It's always come up short. But it's always water that I thought covered it, right? Because it always seemed we had more revenue than expenses there together. And that's why we have $1 million in our checking account that we like to have. It's dipped down to 700,000, you know, and I know these huge grant projects throw all that off too.
Yeah.
But
And in this business, that's
Well,
not,
you know,
that's not a big bunch of money. In this business,
Mm.
$1 million is not. But water, we're restricted with the sewer.
yeah, in terms of gathering revenue.
Geographically restricted.
Yep.
The number of users were restricted unless we find a way to expand. The cost is not coming down. We're not gonna get into deflation with our sewer ever. And so water has got to carry part of that. Well, we've got to find an expansion so we can spread the base. If we can't spread the base, we just keep pulling on the same thing and it can't sustain it forever.
Obviously, the state park will generate some
That
more,
helps some.
but
And Kentucky
I assume it'll
Marshall
generate some
yards
eventually,
or whatever, yeah.
and y'all are gonna decide how the maintenance goes on that. My experience with the state on that is it's gonna fall on us,
Hmm.
you know, so.
Well, it can't. I mean, the maintenance of the infrastructure, that is the pumping stations and stuff like that can. One of the bigger concerns is the state maintaining the sewers inside their city.
That's the one I'm
And
concerned
make
about.
make sure you have infiltration kept and it's done, the things it's done. We are simply don't have the resources to do that.
Right.
As far as taking care of a pumping station where theirs comes into ours, we can negotiate that. And as far as that goes, the other thing I'm saying could be negotiated, but it would require some manpower differences and a completely different workflow and day-to-day activities that I don't think that we're really ready for. So if we were to go through and have to take care of all the sewer problems on the park, that's gonna be a lot different mission than just one lift station that we're gonna negotiate how that's covered. As far as who owns this now and who's gonna maintain a singular lift station, that can be a point of negotiation. But if you really say, okay, you're gonna start driving trucks around and make sure that the sewers are doing everything they need to be doing to however many acres of park there, that's a totally different conversation, which I don't think we're really ready to have.
No.
So, that makes sense?
It does. Like I say, just from my experience with working with the state parks, and I don't work on the level that you guys do. But I am concerned about their neglect of theirs, and I would just like to see you in contracts. If
Agreed.
you neglect this, we have something written in there that says you gotta pay big or just something, stick.
Right.
that they will have to live with. That when if they just let it go. And
If
it
we-
becomes
if
a
we
problem for us.
We use a flow meter, wherever it comes from, we get paid for it. But if it overruns our system and backs it up, then you got the liability issue.
And that's not, yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but I'm just talking about in general. I've just seen what they've done with infrastructure related to water
Exactly.
before, and it's not been good. And, we're in an economic time where states got money, they got surpluses, they're putting money in the parks. But we've been in economic times where parks are one of the last things on their list.
Always are.
And so if that starts affecting our lives, our operation, I have a problem with that. I just want us to be ready for that and have something written in that contract to say, you're not gonna let that happen without paying us some serious money or
Mhm.
something,
Mhm.
whatever works in terms of that line. Just concerned of that long run.
Yeah, with good reason.
Not the first time I've mentioned it. So I'll shut up.
But I value that, I mean, that's why you're on the board. Is having that knowledge and saying, hey, let's look at this contract closer. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would do. And,
Of course, the state contract's not what we're talking about today. I mean, it's, so,
well, but you're gonna have meetings soon, and some of those kind of issues.
yeah.
I think we
Let
should
me,
have.
let me pull you back to the agenda because this
Thank
is
you.
a call meeting.
But we have
Yeah,
Kentucky Dam Village Sewer Project is on this agenda.
Is it on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's on there.
Oh, okay, well, good.
Just jump there.
Yeah,
Tis on there.
yeah, tis on here. Okay, sorry about that, Bill.
Uh,
I didn't read down for enough.
That's all right. Good.
So to compare and contrast this updated sewer analysis. Now this is treating the business, separating it out. There were changes on this thing and it's mainly due, and you've been through it. What is the differences between the previous one of recommending a 57.7, this evaluation? Not saying we should do it. This committee's not telling the city council we need to do it. But this evaluation was in order to cover the expenses. Previously it'd been 57% increase and the current one in front of us is saying 28%. What is the main
Well,
problem that we
okay,
created?
let's back up a little bit there. The change was from 58 to 70.89 total if we include depreciation and everything
Well,
in the rate increase.
So it was from 100, it was from 100% to 70.
70,
And that's
okay.
including the depreciation buff.
Mhm.
And then if you go down
And you
below
take
that,
out the depreciation then.
right,
Which was 338,000, I believe.
Yeah.
Find the right sheet, 338,000.
sounds right.
Yeah. Then it drops it down to, and you don't include that in your rate structure.
Okay. So
It
previously,
drops it down to 27.69%.
so in the previous report, that number was 57%.
Right.
Now it's 27%. 58 to 28, okay.
When I talked to Mr. Miller, I mean,
Right.
it was after Dustin came in. I had not had a chance to look at this. And he was just asking me what these numbers were. And then after he left, I got to looking at them and I was like, we don't have 3 loans in sewer. We only have 2. So I contacted Mr. Miller and I told him, he thought we had 3. He thought we had 2 existing and then the wastewater treatment plant was going to be another one. So he had 3 listed
And what do we
in
have in
there.
reality? What do we really?
We only have 2.
Two.
Because the A20018 is the water and sewer treatment
Okay.
plant loan.
So it was just
So
counting on as two.
Yes, so I had to tell him, we don't have that. We just have 2 loans, 2. So he changed that and that's what changed these
Including
percentages.
the one that we're about to start paying principal on.
That is the A20018. It already has a number. It's already listed.
Good.
I think that's what kind of threw him off was because I already have a loan number and we've already been paying interest and fees. So we just weren't paying principal. And I think that maybe I didn't explain that well enough.
So his annual, the number for annual principal and interest payments went from 406 down to
Mhm.
221.
Correct.
And it rolled down through That was the major change.
Yeah, that's the only
That's
thing
the
I
only
had
change.
to change.
Okay, so this, just to be clear on my mind. These things aren't good page numbers, so 1, 2, 3, I guess it'll be page 4. The infrastructure advances payable at 133,333, that is. Right there at the bottom of pro forma operating expenses, infrastructure advances payable, that is the city's credit advance to utilities, is that what that is?
That is, yes, and he wanted us to increase that. Remember, he told us we could play with those numbers because we're just doing 5,000. I think he was wanting us to do 11. 10 or
Yeah, I think
11 a
so.
month,
I think
correct?
so.
Wasn't that
Yeah.
what he said?
He wanted to increase the payment so that you could pay off the debt. That's
I'm
what he
pretty
was
sure I
wanting
made
to do.
notes on that last time.
Mhm.
So he kept between the two analyses, that number remained the same.
Yeah, he left it the
Because his
same.
recommendation in evaluating this thing was that we reimburse the city at a higher rate.
Correct. He was wanting us to pay it off. I think he said 3 years.
Yeah, 3.
And that's what
Yeah.
that 133 is based on.
Mhm.
Okay. What's the debt service coverage at 40? Well, that was part of it. Okay, that was part of the loan issue. I got it.
Right.
Yeah.
That would just be your service fees. I mean, we could take out the 133 and just put 60 there like we've been doing, because that's what we're currently doing, 5,000 a month. And that would change it a little bit. I didn't go down
Would.
through there and do that.
You know, I didn't either, but that's,
Did you do that?
It's principal you're talking about. Months.
Change that infrastructure advances payable number to 60.
Well. I got caught.
Because that's what we're
I
doing.
got caught in here with no calculator, thought I'd been digging for, kept on the calculator. Anyway, I had just done some rough back of the envelope things and said, just to establish limits so that we weren't paying the city back any of that. None of it.
Which,
What would that change this rate to? And I had come out with just a rough number. It takes that recommended, if you did not pay that debt back to the city, then that 28% would drop to around 20%.
Mhm.
If you eliminate that. Now, and the caveat there is Calvert has a guy's calculator. Okay, so,
but if you take the 1,242,000. And subtract the 133. $333. That changes that number to 866,909.
right.
And revenue from present rates is 783. So minus 783, 344. That would leave, it changes at 216,898 to $83,565.
501. 83,553.
$565.
65, okay.
So if you divide that then by if divide that by the revenue, right? So think it changes it to about 15%, but calculated it, I think.
We can be playing some Jeopardy music or something.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
So we got the
So-
dreaded dead air time.
So what we're trying to do is get this $1,242,000 in revenue. We're trying to get that down.
Right.
Because that's what drives the percentage. Okay.
Well, when Dan's competing here, let me take you, to talk about what you're talking about, Steve. If you took the two reports I've got here in front of me, I got the water here and the revised sewer here.
Mhm.
So the water is showing a required revenue increase. We're in the black. $244,000.
Mhm.
And this is excluding depreciation. This is below the line. Both of them, both reports, that's that happen.
Mhm.
So we're in the black, 244. Okay. Over here, we need a revenue increase of 216. Okay. We're in the black, 244 on the other side of the house, exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
We're in the black, or we're in the red on the other side, 216.
Mhm.
So when you wash down through and you treat them as the same, and that's what the council's gonna have to deal with. Is right now, we turn in what we're doing with water to capital plan, and it's pretty ugly, and it's not. It can be dripping red depending on what happens, but when you compare the two overall, then that's why it hasn't been terrible, is because it's flowing for the whole thing.
Mhm.
So, by coming in, asking rural water, coming and evaluating them separately, it takes a look at our operating, what's the revenue? It's like you said, draw the thing for companies. Every product you're selling is not gonna be the winner.
Right.
So overall, your company has to be profitable. So at some point, I think that we do realize, and these are without depreciation. Which that's what got us into this situation at the sewer plant. Is we didn't have the money, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. So, the headworks improvement and getting out of trouble. With being out of compliance, that was another issue. But it's been driven by, we've got to continue to be profitable enough that if it was a standalone business, that we're asking taxpayers money to come in and do our capitalization.
Mhm.
Without, this is without depreciation, that the 244 is just above the negative 216. So all in all, we're doing good, but we're still getting injection of cash from the city. And that's fine. I mean, we can do that.
Mhm.
And that's why city council purview is how much they're willing to continue to do that. And we have other services that do that at the city level. And that's okay. It's just, and that's, so I think it's, putting this out here and taking this level of evaluation, make sure that we don't get totally cattywampus. And we don't just drown and keep kicking that can down the road. And I really think that we owe it to our jobs, to the utilities, and keeping the utility, that we do this evaluation. And now how the problem is solved is kind of another one. And you could say, well, it's break even right now, but we're not covering depreciation.
That's right. That's right.
So setting path forward, we'll be back in the budget those before you know it.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what we're doing moving forward. And I think this is recommendations for possibly some increases or not. And how they fit together, I think, and really shedding clear light on the reality of the financial keeps us from having a problem. And utilities are very important to a small town like this. We want to be excellent and not be dicey. So everybody understands what happened there and the difference between the two reports. And I think it is interesting to note that the water is 244 in the black and the sewer is 214 in the red. So if you consider everything all together, and again, this was without depreciation. We really need to have a plan at least to make some progress on depreciation. But we're actually, as Bobby reported at our last meeting, we're standing pretty tall in all of our areas. You know, sewer plants, been dredged, removal, it's been a long process. You got 4 new cells, 4 new liners, brand new headworks, head wall. So when you're evaluating this thing, it's like, we got the filter media redone. Bobby's got the control system such and our loads are such that we're using the system probably for the first time in the way it was actually designed to be run. Have a rebuilt booster pump station with brand new pumps. And Bobby's got a few more gray hairs for started for that, but it didn't kill him. It didn't kill us either. But you know, so overall, the condition of the utility, the aging infrastructure at the water plant is old, and that's on our wish list to do. But you can't take the mechanical reliability or the physical durability and the state of it. It's not, you know, we're constantly working on it, constantly upgrading. We've even changed, you know, water additive packages in the system, running new pumps, running with an updated HMI system. So a lot of things move in the right direction. And we got all these other little lift stations around. So the sewer is a pretty capital intensity.
It is.
Because you got all those pump stations around to make sure everything's flowing in the right direction. And it just takes a lot.
If we look at the water rates on any kind of meter over an inch, you know, then you're dealing with your industrial base. And while we want to be friendly, I don't think that they're living on pins and needles of the water rate that we're charging as far as cost of production. And, you know, so that's why I kind of wanted to carve that group out and see if there was a way there to add just a little bit on that and pull that much back in. So if we just recapture our depreciation, especially if we look at, you know, an industrial base with the bigger meters, it's more costly for us to maintain that system.
Right. And there's some infrastructure that we've done
Exactly.
in the last period of time that we've had to do. We have to keep doing that. And we actually need to do some more. And we have some potential, we actually have some potential inquiries.
Right.
So, you know, Calvert City Utility being a supplier to Fortune 500 companies, we've got to be reliable. We've got to be trustworthy. We got to have the contact numbers and make sure we know how to supply them in a fashion that makes us, well, reliability is a big deal. And being able to swing the thing that they need to do and establish. So that's a little bigger ask than a lot of rural systems. And we need to make sure that we do that. And bear in mind, we're competitive with well water. What's it take to dig a well, put a pump in it, maintain the pump, run the filters, do the things you have to do. And even in probably the biggest competition is Tennessee River. So, you know, what does it cost them to realize 1,000 gallons of Tennessee River? So it becomes for the chemical engineers of the bunch, the plant managers and stuff, they have to look at, you know, what are my different options? And if, you know, we've had some inquiries in the recent past, it was going to be a lot of investment for that to take place to have done some of that. And so that one didn't come to fruition, but the next economic development activity, we got to be ready for that. We want to support that. Calvert City Utility needs to be able to support industrial development.
That's right.
And, so, you know, we've got to have a pretty firm financial footing to be able to get that done and move forward. So this is a lot less dismal than the previous one. I'm glad that questions, Dustin, and great answers, looking deeper, getting this corrected. I mean, before we had the required revenue fell from 452 to 216. So with the original financial without the proper debt service in it, had us, you know, we weren't breaking even. We were in the red by 200,000 without depreciation. And we still have to figure out what kind of depreciation makes sense for what we're doing. We're not trying to, you know, this isn't private industry. We're not trying to return value to stockholders. We're trying to make sure that we have a financially healthy system that's got the resources we need to take care of the users, not just for today, but moving forward. That's what we're after. And that lets us, do a lot different things. And that's another reason why the municipal utility is so competitive.
Mhm.
Because we are able to, basically run a nonprofit. We gotta have enough profit to sustain our operation, but we don't have stockholder return that we have to deal with. And I think that's the basis for so many utility systems and small municipalities. That's really the strength.
One other comment or question for you. You said the way that we've handled our depreciation is that basically this group has borrowed it from the city.
Right.
And then we pay it back, or sometimes is it forgiven? What's the history over the last 20 years?
But we got the two people in here that can answer that.
Well, we paid for the
We borrowed $1 million.
storage tank,
back.
wasn't it, or the water tower, one of those things.
And then we paid it back
No,
over time.
the city with tax dollars paid the principal,
Right.
and then water and sewer paid the interest and fees on that loan. Correct, Ralph? It's been, we did. That is what we did.
Water, we can talk about flow. We can talk about the flow cash. Flow cash has been into overall utility, and it hasn't been just total hemorrhage, but when you got big, large infrastructure in your community,
Yeah.
and I gotta be careful what I say, make sure I say it makes sense to my gray matter and maybe not to everybody else's. But if you took this utility and it's a utility, and you say, okay, well, the city's tired of running this thing now. How long do you think the line would be for people wanting to run a utility like this in this town? And what would happen to our citizens' water rates if they did?
Does
That-
that happen? Do we have
that
cities
can-
that privatize?
That can happen. I don't have case studies, but it can happen. That's not something I think that we really should, as mayor, that's not something that I would recommend that we do. I don't think it'd be good for a community. I don't think it'd be good for an industrial base either. I think if you had a company, a private company move in that has stockholders that needed a higher return
Right.
than what we're able to do by seating this board, by electing city council members and judicious use of tax revenue. I think that, maintaining the lowest possible costs for these city services, I think is in the best interest. And I think that's what I'm geared to do.
Right.
But my point in saying that is we're not going to get rich in the municipal utility system being this small. We're not looking to get rich.
Yeah, no,
here, but
never
what
the
we're
goal.
looking to do is make sure we've got good cash flow, got good practice. We're doing the things we need to do to maintain and keep everybody on track so we don't get too out of kilter on rate increases and things like that. So I think these corrected numbers sure do look a lot better as we're basically, the financials that we look at year after year and the budgets that we've prepared since I've been mayor, you know that we're basically revenue wise kind of breaking even, and there's a net influx of support from the city. That's fine. The city owns the utility.
Yes.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And, but we need to advise, the council who does set the rates where we need to be to continue doing that. And be prepared maybe for further things.
So city taxes, they're based on what? Property value? What are city taxes based on?
Well, I mean, a lot of different things we collect taxes on.
Okay. So it's multiple sources.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the utility thing that Gene's talking about is just recently, if you've been watching Channel 6, Marion and Livingston County are consolidating their water because Marion ran out of
Marion?
water.
City of Marion is
City
kind
of
a
Marion.
customer.
Is that right?
They're combining their water sources so that they can maintain good drinking water for the citizens of the.
Yeah.
Of
I know
Marion
Marion's had a terrible
because
time.
of-
Whatever they did didn't
Yeah.
work,
Well,
or they couldn't afford to fix it when they.
Well, I think they found a solution. I don't want to call out an individual community, but I think it's a
No,
great
it's-
example of the kind of things that when we're talking about, it's concrete. We've seen the news. We know the struggles of that community and their residents and stuff, and that really lets you know how important it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do have to give Bob Miller credit for that conversation we had early on about that. I mean, that's a good reminder for us and a good reminder for the citizens and the elected officials that, you got to have a good utility system. And, some places have gas, we don't. Some places actually buy and resell power, we don't. And I think with our, the way that the power comes in, the industrial community, and it's kind of a patchwork in Calvert, I think it's good, and we've had good Texas gas utilities and things, so it's not like it's not like our development and our lifestyle is hurting because we've got a bad utility. We've got examples of private industry that are doing a pretty darn good job. And, but meanwhile, back to ranch, we're doing water and want to keep doing water. I think that's the right decision. So we had, where we at on the agenda? We were going to talk about this update on this rate study and discussion.
Right.
And then we got approval of miscellaneous fees and then recommendation of council. We talked about the fees last time and actually had some dollars in front of them, but I don't have a copy of that.
I don't have a copy. We asked
Few
Linda about
things that, yeah, we wanted to look at and change or remove some that were on there that we already do, I think. There were some things, so.
Yeah.
And we haven't done that.
we checked with Carrie and she didn't have a copy handy, so we're.
So I thought
we'll
Gary,
pass on
you know,
that
we need
over
to get
to the-
together and look.
If
I mean,
my
before we do
calculations are
everything.
right, Gene, that number is not 27%, it's about 10% if you take the 1.3 out.
About 10%.
On the sewer side, you're saying to. Or what, bring it
So
back?
my question was, that we took the 133, which was Mr. Miller's increased rate of repayment of that loan. If the council said, okay, we're not gonna worry about that repayment of that debt, and the council has done that before. So if you took that out, and you've not got depreciation, okay, and you don't have debt relief, so you've taken your debt load out of the equation, which, and this is probably oversimplifying, you strip it down to operations, right? You strip it down to operation. And so what this rate study, Dan ran through the numbers, the rate study would be recommending instead of 28% increase, if you drop that debt service, that 133 off there to 10%, instead of being 28%, it'd be 10%.
10%.
I did some rough numbers and yeah, I came up with, that's in the ballpark of what I came up with too.
Okay,
Good.
I dropped it to 60, you know, to leave it at the 5,000 we're paying now, and it went to 15.
Leave the 60 in, so that would be 15, so.
These the
15%.
these the things that you were, the other numbers that you were talking about that we had proposed.
Oh, yeah, this is the right, yeah.
I think that was the ones that we looked at a few.
I think when we went down
couple
through it, though, they were talking about some of them we already do, so we were gonna kind of remove
Really
those.
clean them up, I think is what needs to be done, yeah.
I think our CPI numbers or whatever you use for this inflation numbers. Definitely lets us deal with inflation so that we maintain what we've been doing.
You know, he continually bragged on us.
Oh, yeah, keep using that and it's going up 4% this year for that, so.
And that 4% would also impact that number as well,
Mhm.
Yeah,
at 10%.
right. I like Steve's idea of let's let water help us be in better shape. You could raise it just a little if you felt the need to raise it. And in the sewer, you wouldn't have to raise as much if you feel the need to raise it.
well, we got, as far as recommending council, say, we need to restructure some things. I see 4 things that we've discussed. One is the fee structure about charging for fee that we don't charge for services. And we do study of what other utilities do, what's customary or whatever. And that is something we batted around. So that's out there. It's hard to really predict how that will shift around revenue. And quite frankly, there is a couple of issues in there that would add a fair amount of revenue. And that would be the treatment of going proper term, dormant, it's not the right word, what we call it, inactive. Going inactive versus not, and then charging, developing a fee structure for charging sprinkler systems. So those are some things we might be able to look and make some prognosis on what that might be worth. The other things is kind of hard to tell because we don't know how many service calls we have, we don't know how many meter changes we have, we don't really have a good log of services provided. The water rates and the sewer rates, which we have in front of us. And then the other thing would be the rate structure that we have for the higher water users. The rate structure is the discount structure. And we really haven't fleshed that out either. So, that's have I forgotten about something that we discussed as far as fees in here or dollars or?
Don't think so.
So you're saying
The only other thing.
if we put, did some things along those lines, that's definitely gonna be a source of more revenue. We just don't have clues how much, right?
I mean, we're talking overall encompassing the things that we're talking about, how we should position ourselves
Right,
moving forward. Those were all recommendations that we batted about and considered.
yeah,
You know, the rate structure number, and I wrote it down, said it was what per kilo?
390.
394 per thousand. Yeah, we need to take a look at some of the rate structures to make sure we're not going at the higher volumes that we're actually discounting below the price of production. And I don't know. I haven't even looked at those versus that number. So we need to do that and see where that lands us.
Yeah.
But as far as recommending a sewer rate, and Steve, I highly value the comments. I mean, we've got people on fixed income, we got the perception of how fast things are going, and you know, this is considered both sides of the house actually go to the bottom line. Don't just lay it on one product.
Mhm. If on this, where we did the 409 increase to this 2,000 or less, if you had a 15% in the sewer, that would bring that up $3.06. And so that would then bring the total to 48.85. So then you okay, got that right. Then you have trash and local and those different things, it's tax. But that would then take that bill to 48.85, 45.79. I'd be cautious with the depreciation. Our water system had never been in as good a shape as we're in right now.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of that came from that agreed order that forced us to do some of the things that we've done. And we were successful in receiving a very favorable interest rate through the state to do that infrastructure. But I would be cautious about that because you just are never we don't want to get back in that same shape. Because if it was, if that costs us $3 or $4 million now, in 5 years from now, it'll cost you $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be very careful about the depreciation, but we can a little more go to the water. And I would look at those larger, like you say, don't sell it for less than it costs us to make it, even if we're reducing a large user. But I do think there's room there to consider a little bit of increase. That makes the water better to pick up maybe some of the depreciation off of the sewer, and so we don't lose the depreciation totally. And that's what, 500,000-600,000 a year. So, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that happened over the years, not being critical of anybody in the past, but the maintenance on the lagoons was
That's right.
properly kept up, which caused them to fill up, and then we
Overflow.
empty them all, and that cost us.
And part of our new install should help
them.
help mitigate some.
Yeah. And the city's done other things like this over here, but a housing project a catch lagoon kind of there that kind of slows up some of that inflow because, you know, that's what it was. You had a lot of rainwater that got into that and it just overflooded the system. So I think the system's never been in better shape.
Well, and we
Yeah.
gotta keep looking for those areas of inflow, you know, things change. It's easy to find a water main break. Easy. Sometimes. We had one 2 years ago, one too easy to find, but,
I got one right now.
do you have one right now? So I'll go
I mean, I
for,
know we're all one of
as,
those.
as dry as it is right now. It's pretty darn
Well,
dry.
you see all the water, you just keep finding it. I mean, it's because there's like lines, there's 3 different lines and you'd be digging up their gas lines and transmission lines all on the ground.
Where's is that?
Awesome.
Okay.
Is that what's going on?
I saw some digging going on over there.
Calling hills, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to call somebody inside.
You,
The falling snow may help, may not.
Hey, mine, I'm kind of seeing if it does.
Mhm.
I got a different spot.
Yeah,
you
there's
think
another
we need
hole
to
there.
get some more information and then bring us back up at the next meeting?
Yeah, I mean,
Before we
the,
make
you know,
a
the city
recommendation.
council bottom to, not think this will, I just the council. Went in for automatic rate increase. No, what is that? So we passed that ordinance. So that ordinance has done its thing.
Yes, if
Okay.
that was
Oh,
good
it's
enough.
done this thing. And, you know, the water increase will be just fine. And it's gonna move us a little bit toward helping on sewer.
Mhm.
And it need, and I say the whole thing put together. Examine the rate structure. We've already got the fees, we got the 2 studies for the sewer rate and for the water rate. And then we can keep working on it. And, you know, what's getting ready to happen to us this next week. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're,
Maybe some
how many
more
weeks of our next
projects coming,
council
probably.
meeting? We're 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out,
3 weeks.
3 weeks out.
It's February 1.
We might have time for those stuff between then, but I wouldn't, there's not a timer on this thing. I mean, to me, the real timer is getting something done before the next budget cycle. We've taken some definitive action, so when we put together the water budget for the next budget cycle, which will, sneaks up, I was gonna move this as far as.
July 1st.
Well, start the discussions.
So it starts in May.
April, really,
Sure, we'll start looking at things.
yeah, so.
I mean, a great blessing, we're not sitting in some dire emergency. That's a blessing that we're thankful for. So,
But what we're thinking about is 10 to 15 to 20 years from now. Where does that money come from? We keep doing it like we're doing. I'm good with this. You know, taking a loan from the city and letting them help us take care of the big project. Is that the way we want to do it? Do we want to
That's not
pull it out of
our
our system,
agenda. There it
maybe
is.
pay for it
Mhm.
here
Mhm.
or pay through it through city taxes? Somebody's gonna pay for it.
Mhm.
No.
That's right.
What do y'all think about having something prepared for like going to council like in March?
Yeah, gives us another meeting.
Well, maybe.
I think if we run a couple of scenarios on
We need to get.
cost of
we
the
need to get some
water, I mean,
vote.
we've got 3 or 4 things that we could fine tune and get a little closer to really. Much better than the water.
This thing you threw out. Inflation. We did 5%. That's just annual update. That's about 13.7.
Over 3 years.
But exponentially, it's more like 14%. So $100 bill, I don't know if it's quite this clean, but becomes 114 now. You know, so we're creating more money. We're putting more stress on our fixed income people. You know, they're getting inflation from all sides. We've got to do it too. We've got to keep this thing going and try to keep it going. So it's just a reality. So I find it hard to say, yeah, let's keep going up. And it sounds better now that it won't have to do
Right,
70% over 5.
well, correcting that rate stays big. Yeah, still a lot better.
So I do feel better about that. So maybe we can come up with something that that
What-
tries to address their needs without trying to stress out all our fixed income people.
One of the things that Mr. Miller said that we needed, as the board needed to look at, is a projection and a 5-year budget and so forth.
Capital
And we've talked
budget.
about this for a number of years and haven't really been able to get that done since Roger left us, because Roger did that kind of on his own. But I think we need to start thinking about, each one of us thinking about areas and projects and whatnot that we might could look at for going forward that we need to do. And Bobby can help us in that area
Just say,
too.
Bobby, make a to-do list or a dream list.
Dream list or whatever.
Jack works on that.
And Chad works on that too. So we
Yeah,
need
there you
to,
go.
Okay, so here's the plan. So the, go for a rate recommendation to city council by March. And then the 5-year capital plan budget needs to be completed in the budget cycle.
in the budget set.
And that timeline will be set. Probably very soon. And a plan is a plan. Plans can change, but you gotta, have some.
Yeah. Be working on that. So, okay. All right. Any other discussion? Bill, you good?
Good.
Michael?
Good.
Bruce?
Good.
Steve?
Good.
Bobby? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Get out of here. Linda wants to go home.
Hello, Ashley. We haven't even.
Hello,
Oh, you are there.
We should have
Good.
done
I
that.
am.
We should have done that at the start.
Sorry.
We can hear Greg's
It's
story.
okay.
Yeah.
I hope everybody stays warm.
Thank you.
Well, the good news is, just since we've been in here, the snow totals have gone down for us.
Yes.
So that's good.
Good. They didn't change into any ISO, did it?
Not really.
Okay.
I was gonna say, is there more people right?
But at least the higher snow totals have moved north, and so we're still a gray.